Om Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Namo Gurubhyaha. We are going to start the third Brahmanam in the third chapter, which is called Bhujyu Brahmanam. And in the beginning of this Brahmanam, Adi Shankara gets into a long argument with the Purva Mimamsaka. Okay. So this is again a very important bhashya where Shankara is arguing that moksha cannot be a karma phala. Okay. So this is one of the important bhashyams in Brhadaranyaka itself, like how we saw before, there is a Ghata bhashya, then there is a bhashya on pramana, then we saw the pravesha bhashya also, anupravesha shruti is there, and of course the bhashya under aham brahmasmi. All these things are important bhashyas. Like that, this particular bhashya also is a very popular or celebrated bhashya or commentary here. You can see it's a very big argument. Maybe it will take a few weeks for us to actually go through all the arguments here, or at least couple of weeks, I think. So before we actually get into the bhashya, so I thought I'll give you a very high level overview. So here, this Brahmanam itself has only two vakyas. Okay, it's a very small Brahmanam that way. There is a question and then the answer is given by Yajnavalkya. So the question is about the dimensions of the Hiranyagarbha Loka, you can say, okay? Because the Hiranyagarbha Phala or Brahma Loka is supposed to be the highest result one can get when we do karma along with upasana. But even this highest phala, which we can get by doing karma and upasana, is still limited. So that's what the Shruti wants to show. So that is also within the realm of karma phala, and it is cannot be really moksha. Because moksha being Ananta Swarupa, and it is your own Swarupa also, need not be a karma phala, or it need not be attained newly. In fact, it cannot be any type of karma phala. Here Bhashyakara actually enumerates the different types of results which we can get by doing karma. So typically we say that only all karma phala, or all results of action, whether it is Laukika karma or Vaidika karma, both are included here. So all results of action can only fall under four categories. And what are those? One is either you can create something, utpatti is possible. The other is you can either reach somewhere, apti, or you can modify something, vikara, okay? And otherwise you purify something which is already there, which is called samskarya or samskara. So like this, there are only four types of results we can achieve by doing any action. And Shankara says that moksha cannot fall under any of these categories, because moksha being nitya, it cannot be created newly, correct? It is already there in terms of time. And similarly, moksha being nitya swarupa, again with reference to space also, it is everywhere. So it is, when we talk about Brahman, We also talk about Brahman as Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. The Anantatvam is there with reference to space, with reference to time. So it cannot be something which we have to achieve by going somewhere. And then Brahman is Nishkriyam also. In fact, it is Satyam. Satyam means that which never changes alone can be Satyam, because our definition of Satyam itself is Yadrupena yen nishchitam bhavati tadrupena tanna vyabhicharati iti Satyam. So that which never changes its nature, once ascertained as this, it is always the same. That means Brahman is Nishkriyam. It never, or Nirvikaram, we have to say. Of course, it is Nishkriyam also. It doesn't have any action in it, any activity, and it never undergoes any change. So it cannot be attained by changing something and all that. Or Brahman also need not be purified. It is Nirguna, only that which has some guna. Because what is purification? That also I think Bhashyakara analyzes here. He says purification means you can add some new guna. Like you paint, something is dirty, you paint, means you are adding, paint is a new guna you have added on top of it. Therefore, it looks like it is now clean. Or the dirt itself you remove. Whichever way you do, you are either removing a guna or adding new guna. That is what is purification. But Brahman is Nirguna. It has no guna. So none of these things can really apply for moksha. So moksha does not fall under any category of karma phalas. Therefore, moksha cannot be a karma phala. This is the argument which Bhashyakara is trying to make at a high level. But even then, the Purva Pakshi is trying to say that here the Purva Mimamsaka is the Purva Pakshi, and the Purva Mimamsaka is trying to establish that if you do Nitya Karma, then you will get moksha. You don't do, see, they have a plan. In fact, similar bhashyam is there even in Taittiriya Upanishad, but here Bhashyakara has gone in even more detail, I would say. So their plan is that you don't do any nishiddha karma, prohibited karma, therefore you won't get any papa. You don't do any kamya karma, therefore you won't get any punya also. Then you do only nitya and naimitika karma, for which moksha is the phala, he says. That means even according to him, how moksha is a phala is nitya karma does not, or nitya naimitika karma. Nitya karma means whatever mandatory you have to do. Nityam not even is daily, according to the Purva Mimamsaka. Even if something is mandated to be done every fortnight or every quarter or every semi-annually, etc., every ayana, let us say, all that is nitya karma only. Anything which is mandated to be done is nitya karma, and anything for which phala is not mentioned explicitly, that is all nitya karma. Naimitika karma means like when a child is born, you are supposed to do something, jata karma and all that. That is all naimitika. It is based on some nimitta. Or you during grahana you are supposed to do something. So these are all you have to do when there is a nimitta is there or due to some occasion. So there are periodic karma, that period can be daily or any other period, which mandatorily you have to do. And there are occasional karma based on some event. Event-based karma you can do, periodic karma you can do. These two you have to do according to the Purva Mimamsaka. If you don't do, you will get pratyavaya, they say. Akarane pratyavayaha. Like that, there is a concept is there according to the Purva Mimamsaka. If you don't do these things, you will get a dosha called pratyavaya or a papa. So to avoid that papa, you have to do the nitya karma, and you don't do any kamya karma, nishiddha karma, etc. So you don't gain any punya or papa by just doing the nitya and naimitika karma. You are not gaining any punya papa, and no pratyavaya also is there. Therefore, then that becomes moksha, he says. Okay. But what about all the accumulated karma? We don't know. How will you neutralize that? Or even how can moksha be a karma phala? So that is the angle here Bhashyakara is mainly talking about. Now for this, the Purva Mimamsaka is trying to give a very interesting argument. He says that since there is no special phala specified for the Nitya Naimitika karma, you have to take it as moksha. Because without any phala, mandopi na pravartate, we say, correct? Even a fool or idiot will not engage in any action unless you are sure about what you want to gain by doing that action. So everybody does some karma only for the sake of the phala. Now, in this case, actually there is already a nyaya or a rule or a principle in Purva Mimamsa itself. And they actually say that principle does not apply in this case for Nitya and Naimitika karma. What is that principle? It is called Vishwajit Nyaya. So there is a Vishwajit Yajna is there, Yaga. In fact, it is supposed to be very elaborate. But there is no phala specified for that Vishwajit. So if no phala is specified for the particular yajna like Vishwajit, then you have to find a phala, correct? Because without any result, why would anybody engage in such an elaborate ritual, let us say, like a Vaidika karma? So there is a general rule called Vishwajit Nyaya in which they say that Sas Swarga Syat. Okay, that is Swarga. What is Swarga? Where there is no special phala mentioned, correct? Sas Swarga Syat Sarvan Prati Avishishtatvat. Like this, there is a Nyaya is there. That is called Vishwajit Nyaya. Sarvan Prati Avishishtatvat means where, with reference to everything where this Vishishta phala is not given. That means a special or a specific result is not specified everywhere. Then you have to take Sas Swarga Syat. Then you have to take it as Swarga. Swarga is the phala. Now this principle is applied in the case of Vishwajit Yaga by the Purva Mimamsaka also. That is why it is called Vishwajit Nyaya. But now the Purva Mimamsaka here in this case, he says with reference to Nitya Naimitika karma, this principle will not apply. Because he gives a very convoluted argument saying that even for any karma which is specified without any phala, who is the adhikari? We have to find out, correct? Every karma, when it is mandated by the Veda, who is qualified to do that if you see? So for example, Jyotishtoma, the qualification is clear. Swarga kamaha Jyotishtomene yajayita. So one who is desirous of Swarga has to do Jyotishtoma. Means the one who is desirous of Swarga becomes the qualified person. So similarly here also, the Vishwajit Nyaya is only creating an adhikari, okay, by talking about the phalam, he says. But in the case of Nitya Naimitika karma, the adhikari is already specified. How? He says, because Yavad Jivam. So till the time one lives, one have to do the Nitya and Naimitika karma. There is no escape. Okay. So whoever is alive has to do the Nitya Naimitika karma because it has been mandated by the Veda to be done till you are alive. So adhikari is already established. So why are you bringing all this phala of Swarga, etc.? The Vishwajit Nyaya will not apply here, he says. And since Vishwajit Nyaya does not apply, Swarga is not the phala. Then Bhashyakara also in the argument says that we saw even in the Brhadaranyaka itself, before it was said that karmana pitrulokaha, vidyaya devalokaha, like that there is a mention is there. So general phala for karma is pitruloka, if you do only karma. So why can't we apply that here if you say, even for that the Purva Mimamsaka has an answer. He says, no, that is a different prakarana. where the Nitya Nainitika karma is specified, this karmana pitrilokaha is not mentioned, it is mentioned somewhere else. So you don't have to bring it from there to here. It is not a general rule. So having rejected the Swarga Phala and Pitriloka Phala, he says that Parisheshyat means whatever is now left is what only moksha is left. So moksha is karma phala, nitya karma phala, like that he says. This is his argument. But Bhashyakara says that no, even if you say that yavat adhikari is established also, there cannot be a karma without phala. And so if you are assigning a phala for a karma which has not been mentioned any specific phala, then you are using Vishwajit Nyaya only. What phala you assign is immaterial. The Vishwajit Nyaya is basically to assign the phala. Okay, it is not for determining the adhikari. So if you say moksha is the phala in this case, you are anyway actually bringing in the Vishwajit Nyaya only. But even using Vishwajit Nyaya, you can only give a phala which is in keeping with the karma or whatever karma can produce, only you can assign as phala. If something is not even a karma phala, how can you even assign it as a karma phala? This is the kind of argument Bhashyakara is trying to show, because he says moksha is not karma phala. Already we discussed that, all the 4 different categories and all that, and it doesn't fall under any of that. But then the Purva Pakshi argues, but you say jnana, moksha is jnana karya. So now he is trying to attack the Siddhanti, saying that you are saying moksha is nitya, it is always there and all that, but you also say jnana devatu kaivalyam and moksha is jnana karyam or jnana phalam, correct? How can you say it is like that? So similarly, we'll also say it is karma phala. Then Bhashyakara explains, see, the difference between bandha purusha and mukta purusha is only ajnanam. Ajnanam is the cover. The distance or the covering due to which one thinks one is bound or one is in bondage is only purely ajnanam, and jnana alone is ajnana virodhi. Karma is not ajnana virodhi. Karma, in fact, is ajnana karya, actually speaking, because you take yourself as karta only because of this ignorance, and from there only karma itself starts, correct? Or karma itself makes any sense only if you take yourself as karta or an actor. So Bhashyakara points out that there is no opposition between karma and ajnana, and only jnana and ajnana are virodhi, and therefore jnana actually destroys ajnanam, and in the wake of that we say that one has become mukta, but basically it is accomplishing the accomplished. So whenever we have accomplishing the accomplished, means what? Whatever was already sadhya, whatever was already siddha, means whatever was already accomplished becomes unaccomplished due to ignorance, and again it becomes accomplished due to knowledge. But knowledge destroys the ignorance alone, and whatever is accomplished is already accomplished, that you know now. That's all. So it is only a figurative use when we say that jnana creates moksha, or jnana or whatever. The result of jnana is moksha and all. If you say it is a figurative use, jnana really destroys only ajnanam. It doesn't produce newly any moksha like that, because ignorance was the distance, the original covering or distance between this one who is in bondage and one who is liberated, or one who has freedom. So like this the argument, and even then the Purvapakshi does not stop. He says no, only karma may not give, but karma along with vidya can give. So like even see, normally poison is poison, correct? If you take poison you will die. Or in Ayurveda, dadhi or curd is supposed to be not good for you. Only buttermilk is good according to Ayurveda. Remember that. So curd is not supposed to be very good. You have to take it as buttermilk. But curd itself is supposed to be good if you mix it with sharkara. That Anandagiri says that. Or even later on it comes in the bhashya also, I think. Or visha also, the poison also in some cases becomes like a medicine for you. Nowadays, most drugs are all poison only, correct? If you read all the contraindications, in fact, they advertise it also. The only weird thing I see in US television is that in India, nobody will advertise all these prescription drugs. It never comes in national TV. You go to a doctor, whatever the doctor gives, you take. You don't even worry about reading all the contraindications, whatever the side effects and all that. In fact, if you read, nobody will take it, I think. But in US TV, they advertise that you take this particular thing for rheumatoid arthritis, means you will get relief immediately. But you may get cancer. Or if you already have something, you may die. Like this, they keep on saying that due to legal requirements, I think they have to tell about all the important contraindications even in the advertisement. In fact, that becomes, I think it becomes like a advertisement not to take that drug, I think. But anyway, they do that here in the TV all the time, which is a little weird, whatever I saw here. But the the Purvamamsaka says that even a visha, in some cases, like if it is along with mantra, okay, so you also mix or you do some with the knowledge. In some cases, the visha itself can become a medicine, and it can actually save somebody's life and all that. So like that, why can't we take this karma under special condition where it has been reinforced with the upasana or vidya samuchita karma will give moksha. So even for this, Bhashyakara brings the same argument. He says that whether it is karma alone or but vidya samuchita, you say, for that only vidya devalokaha iti, Shruti itself has given the phala. Why are you now imagining something new? Where Shruti has not given something, at least you have a scope of doing what is called arthapati, correct? But here, Shruti has specifically given vidya devalokaha. But even if you don't accept that, again the prakarana argument and all they can bring. They say that, okay, it is not mentioned in the same place where Nitya Naimitika Karma and some of the Upasanas have been mentioned. Even if you take that, Bhashyakara gives an important principle. See, any improvement, you say that the Karma Phala is improved by adding it with this Vidya, like Upasana. But the improvement itself can come only within what is possible by that, correct? So he gives a very interesting analogy of an owl. He says, or the eyesight, if you take, if somebody is talking about human eyesight, of course, human eyesight is very limited. But of course, you can improve that with the telescope and microscope and all. You are improving the human eyesight, means you can see better. Our owl has an eye which can see even at night, let us say. But you cannot say that by improved eyesight, my smell also is going to improve or anything like that, correct? It has no connection. The improvement has to be in a field where already it is competent to give some result. You cannot just say that the improvement is somewhere else, totally unrelated to the karma or upasana itself. Karma and upasana can give only these 4 types of results, means the improvement also which should be within that. It cannot become moksha. So that is what Bhashyakara points out. So I think I have given you a certain overview. Of course, lot more details are there, but we can go into the Bhashya now. So now this Bhashyakara also starts here. Atahainam bhudyuhu lahyayanihi papracha. So the Bujyu, who is a Lahyayani, means he is the grandson of Lahya, okay, or Laha, I think. So he asked, the Bujyu is the one who is asking, that's why this Brahmana is called Bujyu Brahmana. Now, before actually what he asked and all, Bhashyakara gives a summary of whatever has gone before. So he says now, Graha Atigraha Lakshanam Bandhana Muktam. So in the previous Brahmana only, the Bandhana in the form of Graha and Atigraha. Graha are the sense organs, Atigraha are the sense objects, and they have been talked about as some bondage. And Yasmat Saprayojakat Muktaha Muchyate Yenava Baddaha Samsariti Sa Mrityu. And what is Mrityu? That is Mrityu or death, by which the one who is bound, correct, he goes into samsara, because somebody is going into samsara because that person goes along with the sense organs and goes after the sense objects, and that is samsara, and that keeps on continuing even after death also. That also we saw. But the one who is liberated or one who is free, correct, one who gains moksha or mukta purusha, he is freed from this bandha, graha atigraha lakshana bandha, okay, along with its cause also, okay, saprayojakat. So whatever is impelling the graha and atigraha, which is karma, which was also ascertained in the previous Brahmana, so along with the karma itself is exhausted and one becomes free. So freedom also is possible from that mrityu. Therefore, that's why tasmat cha mokshaha upapadyate. Therefore, freedom is possible. Why? Because yasmat mrityoho mrityuhu asti. The mrityu of mrityu, this graha atigraha lakshana mrityu, for that also mrityu is there. Because it is there, therefore moksha is possible. And that person is the mukta purusha. He is the one who is, we say, as he has become free. And for the mukta purusha, unlike the bandha purusha, the mukta purusha does not go anywhere or take up another body, etc., to continue the same samsara, correct? So muktasya cha na gatihi kochit. This also was said already. The one who is free, for him there is no gati, there is no more traveling, going anywhere. Why? Because sarvotsadaha nama matra visheshaha pradeepa nirvanavati iti cha avadhritam. So it was ascertained that everything with respect to that jnani or mukta purusha, it's all resolved here only, it's all destroyed here, except for the name alone. Because we talk about 16 kalas or aspects, 15 are gone. They all resolve, they are all destroyed here itself. But name alone continues. Like even the Pradeepa Nirvanavat, Bhashyakara gives an analogy here, like even the lamp or the lamp is there, the jyoti, and then that deepa is put off. Okay, it is gone. So like that, there is no gati for the mukta purusha. Tatra samsaratam mucyamananam cha karyakarnanam swakarana samsarge samane muktanam atyantameva punar anupadanam samsaratam tu punaha punaha upadanam yena prayuktanam bhavati tat karma iti avadharitam vicharana purvakam. Okay, so now he says that here he said saprayojakat muktaha, correct, the cause of this graha atigraha lakshana mrityu also, one is freed from that cause also, because if the cause is still there, it will again come. Now what is that cause? That's what now Bhashyakara says. He says, with reference to all this, tatra samsaratam mucyamanancha. See, when we are talking about here, in fact, tatra means this mrityu or the death of the physical body, etc., is talked about here. So for the samsarata means the one who is a samsari, one who is undergoing samsara, or mucyamananam, one who is having this freedom from all these limitations. And cha karya karananam swakarana samsarge samane. Now the karya and karana. Karya Karana Sanghata is this body mind sense complex. For both of them, this Karya Karana is connected to its Karana. Okay. And being connected to the Karana, that is Samana, means that is the same for both of them. Okay. That being the case, Samane Sati, Muktanam Atyantameva Punar Anupadanam. For the one who is freed, correct, or one who is liberated, again taking up of another body, correct, taking up Anupa is not there. Anupadana means the liberated person does not take up anything more. But the samsaratam, the one who is a samsari or bandha purusha, for that person is punaha punaha upadanam. Again and again, you take up one body or the other, correct? Punarapi maranam, punarapi jananam, punarapi janani, jatare shayanam and all that. Even in Bhajagovindam, Bhashyakara says that, correct? So punarapi jananam, punarapi mananam keeps on going. This marana, janana marana. But why it happens? Yena prayuktanam bhavati, due to what cause this punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam happens? Again and again one takes up a body, and when that cause is not there, then you do not take up, you become mukta. Which is that cause? That is karma, tat karma. We saw that because in fact they arrived at it. Yajnavalkya took his questioner. Okay. They Artha Bhaga and Yajnavalkya went separately and they discussed. They didn't want to discuss it in the crowd. And then they arrived at that karma is the prayojaka or the karana. So that was ascertained iti avadharitam. How vicharana purvakam, by doing vicharana, by doing analysis, by discussion and all that. And that karana, when it is there, then you have to take the body again and again. If it is not there, tat kshayecha, if it is kshaya happens, it's exhausted, it is destroyed, then only nama alone is there. Nama avasheshena sarvotsadaha mokshaha. Everything else is destroyed for the jnani. Name alone continues. That is moksha. So if that karana is there, samsara continues. But the karana is destroyed, okay, with respect to all aspects except for the name alone remains, then that is moksha. All these things have been already discussed. And what is that karma? Tacha punya papakyam karma, and karma is nothing but punya and papa. And that was also explicitly said in 3:2:13 we saw. Punyo vai punyena karmana bhavati, papa papena. So you get punya phala by doing punya karma, and you get papa phala by doing papa karma iti avadharitatvat. So etat kritaha samsaraha. So this is the one, this karma which is in the form of punya and papa, that alone is creating this samsara. For one, the bondage. Okay, you keep on going from one thing to another. So here again, what tatra apunyena. So with reference to punya and papa, with reference to karma, when we talk, if you do not have punya, means basically you are having papa, then what? Sthavara jangameshu swabhava dukkha bahuleshu naraka tiryak pretadishu cha dukkham anubhavati punaha punaha jayamanaha mriyamanascha. So if you do not have punya, then what happens? Everybody is clear about that. So Bhashyakara says, you take birth as Thavara and Jangama means what? Thavara means all these plants and all that, stationary things. Plants are stationary. They don't move about unless you watch movies like Lord of the Rings and all that, where the trees are moving, correct? I don't know how many of you have seen. So, but at least generally the trees are not walking around. So they are called Sthavara, stationary. Then Jangama means all the animals are all Jangama, they can move. So this, you are born as either plants, animals and all that, and they all have Swabhava Dukkha Bahuleshu. They are all leading a life of Dukkha. And also one can go to places like Naraka. Naraka Tiriyak Pretadishu. So you can, you have birth in Naraka, or you have this Preta Sharira. Even after death, you are supposed to take a Preta Sharira, and that only travels. Okay, or any lowly life you get. And because of that, Dukkham Anubhavati. So you have only Dukkha, you have pain, you have suffering. You suffer all these types of births again and again, being born again and again, and dying again and again. Okay. Punaha punaha jayamaha mriyamanascha. So being born again and again and dying again and again, you take up births like this if you don't have punya. Iti etad Raja Vartmavat Sarvaloka Prasiddham. He says this is known to everybody. Okay, like even a Raja Vartma. Raja Vartma means a highway, you can say, or a royal road built by the kings in those days. Even today, in fact, near our village, we have something called Mangamma Salai. Okay, we say there was a Rani Mangamma, and she is supposed to have built a lot of roads in those days, which are all very wide, and even like chariots can go, and horses can go, and people can go, and they made even arrangements, okay, along the road so that people can travel. That is called Mangamma Salai. So like the how Mangamma Salai is so prasiddha, very well known, even today it is there. It is known. Okay, this, although we have all this tar road and all that nowadays laid, they say no, this was the original Mangamma Salai, or Raja, the royal road, or in that case it is Queen's Road, correct? But anyway, that's besides the point. Here, it's all clear, like the royal road is clear. Everybody knows the road built by the king, or whatever the road which is leading up to the palace, or something like that. Like that, here there is no confusion. Papa is leading to all this problematic or life with suffering. But what about punya? There can be some doubt. That's what he is now bringing. Yastu shastriyaha punyaha vai punyena karmana bhavati tatraiva adaraha kriyate iha shrutya. So what about the shastriya karma? Because punyo vai punyena bhavati, Shastra is saying. So that means there are karma specified by the Shruti, which is supposed to give you punya. And you can have a doubt, can that punya then give me moksha? So that's what now Shruti is actually, adaraha kriyate means what? It is paying attention to that. The Shruti now, there is no confusion with reference to papa or apunya. That is all well known. But now Shruti, why this new Brahmana is started? Because punyo vai punyena bhavati has been said, but that punya phala, what it can be? So what is the limit of this punya phala? Whether punya phala itself can give moksha, or punya phala also is limited to whatever is achievable by karma. No, that's what is the focus here. Okay, the punyo vai punyena karmana bhavati, whatever was said, that is now taken up, and that is now going to be analyzed. And so what is that? So he says punyavevacha karma sarva purushartha sadhanam iti sarve shruti smriti vadaha. So shruti and smriti, all the shrutis and smritis are very clear that people desire only punya. Okay, so we really desire only punya because it is going to give us pleasant experience. So punya is the purushartha, that which is desired by all people. Sarva purushartha sadhanam. So whatever you really desire, for that the means is only punya, and the karma which will produce that punya. This is established by all shrutis and smritis. Okay, and mokshasyapi purusharthatvat tat sadhyata prapta. So Bhashyakara now, see, he says moksha also, in fact, the only real purushartha is moksha. That is the analysis we do, correct? Even before anybody studies Vedanta, the introduction to Vedanta, what we do, we try to show you that there is a fundamental problem, And everybody really wants to solve that fundamental problem. And the only solution for that is freedom from all limitations, which can only be the attainment of the limitless, which can again be only moksha purushartha. So even the one who is not really aware of moksha as a purushartha is really seeking only freedom from some kind of limitation, correct? Freedom from the either the fact that you are a mortal, or freedom from the fact that you are limited by space, or freedom from the feeling that you are subjected to suffering. So everything is, or you are insecure, freedom from insecurity, freedom from suffering. So everything is really freedom only we are seeking, but we do not really recognize that properly. So moksha is also a purushartha, and then why cannot punya be the sadhana and moksha be the sadhya? So purusharthatva tat sadhyata means here tat is punya sadhyata. We have to understand. Okay. So why cannot moksha be the end and punya be the means? So that is a possibility. So that is prapta here. That is a possibility which is there now, which has arisen. So now it has to be answered. So yavat yavat punyotkarshaha tavat palat tavat tavat phalotkarsha praptihi. So the more and more punya we have, correct, and better results we'll get. Okay, tavat phala utkarsha. So the better the punya, or the more the punya, more the karma phala, and better the karma phala. This is also known. Therefore, what tasmat uttamena punyotkarshena moksha bhavishyati iti ashanka syat. So there is a ashanka, or a doubt can come that with the very uttama means great, the best punya, otherwise uttamena punyotkarshena, by having the best and the greatest punya, moksha one will get. This kind of a ashanka or a doubt is there now. It is a possibility, therefore. And therefore what? Sa nivartayitavya, but that has to be removed, Bhashyakara says, because moksha cannot be any karma phala. That is the point. So that has to be nivartayitavya. It has to be removed. Okay. That's why this particular Brahmana is being started, he says. So he says, jnana sahitasya cha prakrishtasya karmanaha etavati gatihi vyakrita nyama rupa aspadatvat karmanaha tat phalasya cha. So he says there is jnana sahitasya prakrishtasya karmanaha etavati gatihi, he says. So what is the highest one can do means you do all your karma and you do also upasana. That is the best you can do to gain the maximum punya. And even for that, okay, only this much is the gati, or the result, or phala. Yetavati gatihi, he says. This much only. Why? Because all karma and their results are all dependent on only vyakrita nama rupa aspadatvat, he says. So they are all based on, or dependent on, or confined to only the manifest names and forms. They cannot go beyond that. Okay, they are all confined to the manifest srishti only, correct? Any karma phala is within space time, within the manifest world. So vyakrita nama rupa aspadatvat means what? It is all, any action or their results, they are all within the boundary conditions of the manifest world alone, and they cannot go beyond that. They cannot transcend that. But what is moksha? He says, natu akarye nitye avyakrita dharmini anamaroopatmake kriyakaraka phala swabhava varjite karmanaha vyaparaha asti. So moksha is all these things. So that's why Bhashyakara is now saying that which is not a karya. Karya means something which is an effect, correct, which starts in space time. But moksha does not start in space time. In fact, it is already there with reference to time, and it is everywhere there with reference to space. That is Brahman, that is yourself, that is the moksha swarupa. So it is nitya, and it is avyakrita dharmini also. Brahman itself is all undifferentiated. It is not Vyakrita or differentiated into parts or different qualities and all that. Nothing. It is Nirguna, Nishkala. Okay. So it is Avyakrita. And Anama Rupatmake. There is no Nama Rupa in Brahman. It is Nama Rupa Varjita. So it doesn't have any Nama or Rupa intrinsically. It is free from all names and forms. And also Kriya Karaka Phala Swabhava Varjite. It is free from all actions, factors of actions and results of actions also. It has got nothing to do with any of these things. So if something is there like that, karmanaha na, this na you have to connect here. Na vyaparaha asti, karma has no business there really. Action has nothing to do with moksha, which is this akarya, which is nitya, which is avyakrita dharmini, or which has avyakrita dharma, and which is anama rupatmaka, all these things, okay, and which has nothing to do with kriya, karaka and phala. So moksha cannot be karma phala. That's what Bhashyakara is pointing here. So yatra cha vyaparaha sa samsaraha eva. So wherever karma has any business or karma is connected or karma can be having any relevance, there only samsara is there still, because all karma phala is only within samsara. It is not going to give you any moksha. So yatra cha vyaparaha means yatra cha karmanaha vyaparaha we have to take. Okay, the karmanaha is there here already. So wherever there is some business for this karma means that is all only samsara. So samsaraha eva iti asya arthasya pradarsanaya brahmanam arabhyate. So this coming brahmana, bhujyu brahmana, is to only show that all karma phala and all karma also, they are only relevant within this samsara. They are not going to give you moksha. Moksha is not a karma phala or a karma sadhya. It cannot be attained by karma. To show that only this brahmana is starting, he says. But now what? The Purva Pakshi comes. Yattu kaischid uchyate, but some people say, the Purva Pakshi here is the Purva Mimamsaka. They have a different opinion. What is their opinion? Vidya sahitam karma nirabhisandhi vishadadhyadivate karyantaram arabhata iti. So this nirabhi sandhi, you have to separate it out from this vishadadhyadivate. I think it is not one word or anything. Nirabhi sandhi karma. Basically, the karma which is done without any attachment to fruit. Okay, that's what they are saying. Nirabhi sandhi karma, and also which is vidya sahitam, which is along with upasana. It can give a different karya other than the regular karma phala. It can give karyantaram, means some other effect or result, which is moksha in this case. That's what the Purvamamsaka want to say. So karyantaram arabhata, it can start or create a different kind of karya, which is moksha. Like even the analogy is visha dadhyadivat. Visha is poison, dadhi is curd. So according to Ayurveda, I already told you, some cases visha itself can be given as a medicine, or dadhi can be, if somebody is having fever, normally we don't give dadhi, but because it can worsen your fever. But if you mix it with sugar, then you can take sharkara. Okay. In fact, in those days, I don't think white sugar was there, but brown sugar was there always. Guda was there. So anyway, so here, like even visha and dadhi in special cases can give a different result, like that karma, which is nirabhisandhi, which is done without attachment to any particular result, and which is also done along with upasana, can give you a different result. Karyantaram arabhate iti. Some people say like this, Bhashyakara says tanna, that is not correct. Okay, why? So he gives anarabhyatvat mokshasya, moksha cannot be started. because karyantaram arabhata, it can give you moksha means no, moksha cannot be given, moksha cannot be started newly. Okay, anarabhyatvat mokshasya, moksha is already accomplished, so why do you need to accomplish this moksha? Because moksha is nothing but bandhana nashaha eva hi mokshaha. So he explains that further why it is anarabhyam, because moksha is nothing but the destruction of your bondage. Okay, na karya bhutaha, it is not an effect of any karma, at least it is not an effect like you traditionally understand it. Bandhanancha, okay, avidya iti avochama, and bandhana itself is what? It is nothing but ignorance alone is bondage. It is ignorance alone. Okay, avidyayascha na karmana nashaha upapadyate, and avidya cannot be destroyed by karma, because karma and avidya are not virodhis. So how Bhashyakara is connecting here? Bandhanashana is moksha, and bandhana itself is nothing but ignorance. So ignorance is covering the reality. The reality is always as it is. That means you are already mukta purusha only. Moksha is already accomplished, but the already which is siddha becomes sadhya only because of avidya or adhyasa. That is why Bhashyakara, even Brahma Sutra Bhashya, he starts with this adhyasa bhashya. Unless, because if the siddha, moksha is already siddha, then why should you even pursue this? There cannot be any Brahma Jignasa, correct? Brahman itself is Siddha, Siddha Vastu. Then why should anybody desire to know this Brahman? Means because there is ignorance. So ignorance is the only covering, but it is not real, correct? And ignorance has to go. Moksha is there then as it is. It is not something which is newly created. Only your ignorance about it has gone. So that is the point here. So bandhanam is nothing but avidya. We have already said this. Iti avochama, and avidya yascha, and avidya cannot be destroyed by karma. Karmanaha nashaha na upapadyate. Why? Because drishta vishayatvacha karma samarthyasya. And this again, this what karma can do is known to us. It is drishta vishaya, he says. Okay, and karma cannot destroy avidya also is known. It's all drishtam. It is all known to everybody. And so now he explains that how you can say it is drishta vishaya means, he says utpatti, okay, apti, vikara, samskaraha hi karma samarthyasya vishayaha. So what is the capability of karma? Okay, or what is the capability of karma to produce a result? Means it can only produce these things. It can create something new, utpatti, or you can gain something. Okay, apti, you attain to a place or you attain something in time. Then it can modify something, vikara, or it can purify, samskaraha. So these are the four vishayas of karma. These are the only four things which you can, any karma phala can be classified into these four things. Okay, so he explains that further. Utpadayitum, prapayitum, vikartum, samskartum cha samarthyam karmanaha. So the samarthya or the capability of karma is to either it can create, it can make you gain something or obtain something, or it can modify something, or it can purify something. Na ataha व्यतिरिक्त विषयः अस्ति कर्म सामर्थ्यस्य लोके अप्रसिद्धत्वात्. So other than these four, there is no other karma vishaya is there. Okay, there is no other object as a result of karma other than these four. Okay, that is known, and therefore what? Because anyway it is not known by anybody else. Only whatever is known in the loka, in the world, by everybody, it is only falling within these four. Nobody in the world knows anything other than falling under these categories as karma phala, or the capability of karma. because it is loke aprasiddhatvat, he says. But what further, what nacha mokshaha yesham padarthanam anyatamaha, but moksha does not fall within any of these categories. It is not one more thing which can be fit into these four categories. Okay, anyatamaha na mokshaha yesham. So amongst these karma phala categories, moksha cannot be fit in. It is not one more thing there. Why? Because avidya matra vyavahita iti avochama. Because moksha is nothing but basically it is moksha itself is required because the covering of avidya is there. Okay, avidya matra vyavahita. So vyavahita means something, a covering or a distance, you can say. So the covering in the case of a bandha purusha is only ignorance. It is not a real covering which you have to remove, like a purification or anything. Okay, or it is not a real distance which you have to go and obtain, and it is not newly created because it is already there and you are ignorant. So you understand all these things. So it is only avidya matra vyavahita. It is not a real vyavahita. It is purely only due to ignorance. So all hearing all these things, Purvabhagi says Badham. Okay, good. I agree. But he says now what? Bhavatu kevalasya eva karmana evam swabhavata. See, now all these four categories of phala and all you listed, that is all only kevalasya eva karmana. Only karma. For that I also agree your categorization. Fine. But now he says vidya sanyuktasya tu nirabhisandehe bhavati anyatha swabhavaha. But when this karma is done without any attachment to a particular result, and also it is combined with vidya or upasana, then it has a different swabhava or a different nature. Whatever you said as the nature of karma and having four different types of results and all, that is fine. That only applies to karma by itself. But when a karma is done with nirabhisandhi, without any attachment to a particular result, and is also combined with vidya, its nature is different. Anyata subhavaha bhavati. So he says, drishtam hi anya shaktitvena nirjnatanam api padarthanam vishadadhyadinam vidya mantra sharkaradi sanyuktanam anya vishaye samarthyam tata karmanaha api astu iti chet. Okay, so now he says, we have seen that normally like visha and dadhi, they have one type of result, but they have another, they can give another result also when it is actually mixed with something else. By themselves they give, if you take visha means you are going to die. But if it is mixed with mantra, or if dadi is mixed with sharkara, or you have certain knowledge, in certain cases alone, even that visha can work as a medicine. All this vidya, mantra or sharkaradi sanyuktanam vishadadhyadinam iva. So like this, even karma, when it is mixed with vidya, and which is again you are not doing it for any particular result, will get a different samarthya. Okay, anya vishaye samarthyam, it can have samarthya or capability to produce something else other than the four vishayas you listed. So let it be like that for karma also, he says. Tata karmana api astu iti. So why can't we say that karma along with the upasana, and which is also nirabhisandhi, it has a anya shakti, it has a different capability or power which is not known before, but it can be there. By combining it with something else, you get a different phala and a different power. For that it can be there. Like this, he starts the argument. Bhashyakara says, na, because pramana bhava, there is no pramana for whatever you are saying. Of course, the argument will continue. It's a very big bhashya. We'll continue this next week. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।